here for another episode of Always Be Connecting. Thanks for joining us. I'm really excited to talk to Jane Thorpe today of Cloudprint. Hello, Jane.
Hello, how are you?
Yes, good. How are you doing? How's it? Thank you for coming in and talking to us.
Pleasure.
Always Be Connecting is about connecting with 5 audiences, and they are your prospects, your clients, your team, your industry, and your community. And sometimes the hardest one to connect with is your prospects, because they are effectively strangers, hey? Mm-hmm, and it's something that I've always admired in you. I've known you for a long time now. Mm-hmm. That you are able to talk to strangers. You do really great at networking. You are a part of a few networking groups. So I wanted to sort of find out about your history. I saw that you've only been at Cloudprint for 7 years. I thought you'd been there for longer than that. How did you come about to business development and Cloudprint?
Okay, so years ago, and thank you for the, I appreciate the compliments. Years ago, I was a print broker, one of my many incarnations of career, because I've had plenty of different versions of me. And when I was a print broker, long story short, I ended up getting out of print broking, and a friend of mine asked me to run a networking business. That didn't work out. We weren't a good match as business partners. Yeah. So I stepped down from that. But one of the people that came along to one of the networks was actually a printer who sort of pulled me back into printing again. Yeah. So, and I've been there ever since and loving it, and having a completely different experience to what I did when I was a print broker. And that experience is really all about the connection externally. I would say that it comes from the connection within. Okay. So I've definitely done a lot more work on myself, self-awareness wise, consciousness wise, and it's so interesting how that then trickles out to the people around you. So yeah.
So what's a print broker?
So a print broker is like a middle person. So you've got the printer, and then you've got the client, and so you find the best printer for the client. Yeah. But I don't do that anymore, because now I'm obviously working with a printer, Cloudprint Group. So
you're working, that's developed to a business development, and then sort of what skills or what did you learn to get there?
Yeah, so my role, and no matter what I've done in my life, I mean, I've been a TV presenter, a coach, a speaker, I would say connecting is actually the base of all of it, the foundation of it all. So as business development, connection is hugely important, because when you're going out and knocking on doors, cold calling, which many people don't like, I actually enjoy it, because here's the self-awareness part. Once you get your mind out of the way and the fear of rejection, or that you're not enough, or that maybe you're annoying someone, all those thoughts that would come in, when you set those aside and you know that you're there to be of service, you're already open for connection, and people can feel it. And so, yes, I get some rejection, but my biggest clients have still come from doing that, actually, from knocking on doors and making that sort of being open to then invite someone in. People really appreciate it, particularly now that digital marketing is such a big thing. It's actually cold calling or seeing people in person has become even more important, because people are doing it less and less.
Do you still door to door?
I do. Not as much, because I obviously do a lot of networking, as you know, but I still enjoy it. It's like a bit of a thrill, actually, to go and speak to people. And it's like, even if they say no right now, it's just not now. It doesn't mean that it's not for later. So it's really about building relationships. That's where it starts.
Because when I was 18, that's what I did to get a job. Yeah. You had to go door to door. That's exactly how you did it.
Old
so
school.
Is it a lost skill? Is it?
Perhaps. I think, people undervalue it. Or again, it's it's like public speaking. People don't want to do public speaking. Yeah. It's what do they say? It's worse than death or something. And it's the same with cold calling. Most people go, oh gosh, I don't want to do that. So it's definitely a skill, and maybe it comes naturally to some people more than others, but it's definitely something you can learn. And it's something that, as long as you're open, you're open and you're listening. I think, again, this is where the self-awareness comes into it, because if you are looking to respond to someone, you're not really listening. Whereas when you listen, then all you need is in the present moment, and that information where you can then perhaps serve or help someone comes from that, which is the same about networking. It's, being open to opportunities is really about listening to someone, getting to know them. You're not hunting someone when you network, like the old, you go to a function, you see people just swapping business cards, and that's very much that hunter mentality, whereas farming is really about connecting and then about listening and learning and building trust and getting to know someone.
Sure. There's so many questions there from that. Interestingly, when you were talking about farming, I've been reading a lot about Ikigai recently, which is the Venn diagram of do what you love, do what you can get paid for, do what you're good at.
Nice.
And they talk a lot in the book about farming and taking care of things and looking after that sort of the soil of it. So that really resonated with me. When you are cold calling, then talking about that side of things, what surprises you? What have you learned? How do you do it? Do you have methods?
Sure. Yeah, I do have methods. Yeah. So quite often there's been times in the past where I've gone out and just gone, okay, I'm just going to knock doors in this area, this location, or go to this location like Chatswood, Macquarie Park, wherever it is. And look, that can work because it's a bit of a numbers game if you're knocking on doors. And I always say that I'm in the area. I've been in the area, so it's not, I don't want to make people feel like I'm intruding or that they have to give me their time. It's like I was here. I'm just popping in. Most of the time now what I do though is I will get specific about where I want to go. So for example, I do a lot of work with medical device companies, and so I would look up where the medical device companies are as an example. And then I would find out on LinkedIn who might be the marketing manager, for example, that I need to talk to. And then I would go there. And
so you do a bit of homework. You're not cold
Absolutely,
calling.
Exactly. But I have done both. But now I'm just getting more and more specific about the people that we're working with, because we work really well with certain companies.
Yeah.
So I'm being a little bit more strategic, let's call it, about how to actually go about it.
And I guess with LinkedIn as well, there's only a certain amount of information when you get out into the wild. There's people who are not on LinkedIn or
absolutely. And sometimes people might have left a position and someone else is in there now. So, but yeah, and look, to this day, the biggest clients that we have come from opening a door. And then we've either we've grown with them. So they might, they might have started off small, and then bit by bit by bit, the trust is there. Obviously, we do a good job. We deliver what we say we're going to, and so then that builds. So it's very much a building a relationship whether it's networking, whether it's cold calling. You're starting off just that initial finding out, who you are. Yeah. How can I help you? If I can help you, and if I can't, then also, then maybe I'm not a good match. So just being really honest about that too.
Yeah, so like I did door-to-door for sales back in maybe the late 90s. And it was hunter style.
Yeah, sure.
It was very much a 5-point pitch with a hard close in there. Like, so is that relevant still? Or
yeah, I've never been keen on that. I actually was offered a role, I won't mention any names, with a company once who gave me a script. Said, there's the phone, here's the script. And I was like, you know what, I can't do this. That, to me, a proper connection is intuitive, and it's really about being present to what comes up, and then you go from there. Like, you don't even need to work anything out, so to speak. So I think having that is, to me, is a bit of that old hard sell. I don't care whether you want me or not. I'm just going to, pounce on you. So because I don't want all the clients in the world. I just want the ones that I'm going to be able to serve best, for their benefit and for ours, So definitely I feel like an intuitive, again, being present, just literally listening and asking lots of questions, of course, So that's it. But yeah, having a script is, to me, I've never been a believer in it. I know it's worked for some people. I don't know how long, people keep clients like that. If they do that, maybe it works for some people. So I won't poo-pah it, but I'm not a fan.
Yeah. And then they're like, I guess a lot of the smaller businesses would appreciate a visitor. You don't get many.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. So, and someone sort of caring about what they do in their little hole in the world, little office. Yeah.
I actually find that people are usually very positive in the response most of the time, like maybe 98%, 97, 96%. And they're happy because they think, well, you've taken, you're making the time, you're making an effort to go and do that. So, that shows. And then, of course, making sure you can back that up with whatever you've come with, if you do a follow-up and then perhaps the first job you do with them, obviously you've got to tick all those boxes. But yeah, they're usually really happy. I've had the odd time where people aren't very happy about it and that's okay. And that's just a no. That's an immediate no, which means great. I don't have to waste any time there at all. Yeah. I can leave that and move on to the next place.
And that's your job as a business developer.
Yeah.
But do you see your skills, everyone should be connecting in that way and bringing a network to the business that
I feel ultimately that if we all have the idea of serving one another, like one of the things that's always been in my mind before I even knew the word networking was that if I know you and I know what you do and I know Mary over here, and I know that Mary would benefit from you and you would benefit from Mary, I'll put you together. Because I just love to connect people. Now, I don't know whether that's just something I've just always enjoyed. I enjoy doing it because I love a win-win.
There's definitely a matchmaker about you.
Yeah. But I like seeing it if it's going to benefit, I wouldn't put someone where I think, I prefer to do it if someone's actually asked me, like, do you know someone? And then I can, reach out and find that person. But definitely people appreciate it. And then it goes beyond you because what happens is you become the hub. So when people know that you want to be of service and to help them and they trust you, once you've built that trust, then, that goes a long way. It's like, that whole thing of like what you give out comes back tenfold, So, yeah, people will then want to help you.
And unexpectedly, I'm sure,
Yeah, well, I just, I think it's however you want to look at it, the universe providing, but definitely you become known, I suppose, and you become more visible in your network. Your network appreciates, that you're not just, so if I look at my clients, for example, I'm in printing, but they might say, do you know a photographer? Yeah. Or do you know a podcaster? I say, yes, I do. And so I'm giving them more than just printing.
Yeah, that's so funny because your role as business developer for a printing company just extends so far beyond that. But you can really understand and see the benefit that the business gets from that. That really, and we'll get into the sort of networking side into that sort of side of things as well, because you're a part of BNI and their sort of motto is the giver's gain, as you're sort of alluding to anyway, is what you give is what you get. And if you are helping people remember that. People remember good deeds.
That's right. And isn't that the case with anything though? No matter what you do, if you're 2 feet in and you're giving your best to it, then it's going to come back. If you go along and do something and you're not really in it, it's not going to work. But and I enjoy it. That's a big part. If I didn't enjoy it, that would be a different story.
So how did you come across BNI? Was that the first networking group that you were a part of, or are there a few others?
Years and years ago, back in 2008, I actually had this print broking business. And I made a little letter with my business cards, and I'd literally just started the business. And I walked around my neighbourhood. I thought, I'll walk the dog, get some exercise, and I'll put this in letterboxes. And a lady who lived up the road obviously realised that if I was doing that, I want business. So she said, why don't you come along to a networking event? Yeah, I said, sure. So I did. So I was part of BNI for about nearly close to 4 years. And then I left because I went on to do something else and completely different career change for a while there. And then recently came back again. So I've been back for the last 2 and a bit years or so. Yeah.
Yeah. And with some gusto.
Yes, I came back this time with having done it before.
Yeah.
And that was my first sort of hurrah into networking. I wanted to see what was possible if I really, focus and become even more strategic with my networking. So I came back with this bigger vision, I suppose. I wasn't just testing the waters. Like, well, I know it's up to me. So what happens if I give more of myself? So, and definitely it's definitely working out. You meet the benefits are, whether you're connecting lots of people and that's a good feeling, or whether it's actually the sales that are coming my way, the visibility, the trust, all those things we've been discussing, definitely a benefit. And then what happens is other opportunities pop up. I mean, back when I first started, I was actually getting divorced. And so I ended up meeting a real estate agent to sell my home, my solicitor, family lawyer, et cetera, and I didn't know any of these people that I trusted. So you get other benefits. It's not just purely about business. It's actually also you're learning to, you're making trustworthy relationships with people that, you can benefit from in other areas too.
It's your team.
And getting invited to other chambers. I'm doing a lot of other networking this year that's on the cards, and that's come from me going to other network groups and then being invited. So they all kind of fit. They're almost like channels together,
Funny.
And you don't really go with, you can have a specific agenda, but also being open to what comes.
Yeah. Because you could be cynical about it, but, and what you were talking about before about cold calling, you can be fearful and you can have all these negative feelings about it, but if you don't do it, then you get nothing.
That's right.
If you don't ask, the answer's no.
Yeah, exactly. And I see it as it's overcoming fears, and thoughts. We all have thoughts, like 6,000 a day or something, and they're just thoughts. They're not actually real. So all of these things I just see as an inner challenge to, become more limitless or become, just more empowered, I suppose, rather than letting something stop me. So.
What was stopping you in your first 4 years? What did you resolve to change about those first 4 years in the 2 years coming back? What was stopping me from the original network that I was doing? Yeah. You said that you wanted to come back with a bit more gusto.
Yeah,
You'd had a little practice play.
Sure, yeah. Well, in printing, I have some very big clients now. And so we're working on a different level to what I was working when I was a print broker. When it was a print broker, it was a lot of small business, so business cards or a pull-up banner. And my time to network just to receive some business cards, which is lovely, but it's, it does take up a lot of time. I do devote a lot of time to it. You've got to commit to it for sure. So this time it was really about being more strategic. So it means having better relationships, getting to know people on a deeper level so they trust you to refer you to those bigger clients. So, it's kind of taking it up a notch. And I'm still learning myself, so I wouldn't say I've, got it all in the bag yet. It's a process that's unfolding.
Yeah. And is there enough hours in the day to say yes to everything?
So I did that last year, and by the end of the year I was like comatose on the lounge. That's a lesson I took from last year, that this year I'm saying no to a lot more. So unless it completely aligns and it's a hell yeah with whatever I have, intentions or goals about, then I won't be doing it. So yeah, I was sometimes doing 4 mornings a week. And then that gets into in the way of exercise and those things that are important for me so that I can be my best. So then I've got more energy to network, so it's that balance.
What type of people have you met through what means where the relationship has become something else, sort of beyond transactional?
Sure. I still have relationships from the ones that I first met, the people I first met back in 2008. And my financial advisor, for example, is still from 2008. And I still have friendships with many of those people, not all of them, but quite a few that I see reasonably regularly. Yeah. And that trust, and then that, they're still connecting me with people, or when people come back around, all of a sudden someone pops up and just all of those opportunities ripple open again. So, yeah.
I think it's interesting as well, because I saw something on LinkedIn about how a B&I group in the hills were doing some kind of possibly charity, possibly community, But where they were a group of people with all different sort of skill sets, they were banding together for a purpose, for a
Beautiful.
cause.
Mm-hmm.
And like, how good is that? And that's what, you know, we should be getting out of the world. Like, how do we, because, you know, as someone who lived in London for a long time and did not look up at other people on the tube, like, building communities is hard.
So, yeah.
But the benefits of serving against other people who have also got contributions to make.
Oh, 100%. First of all, years ago, I was always really shy. And I know that always comes as a surprise to people when I say that. But I find that networking taught me to, you know, hi, I'm Jane, and introduce myself first to break the ice. You know, just that icebreaker. Yeah. And once you get past that, then people are like, oh, okay, hi, you know, I want to talk to you. And then as you get to know people, like I have a lot of people that are in the marketing sphere. So like copywriting, photography, videography, podcasts, graphic design, digital marketing, all of that. So collaborating together, you can offer more to when you get together than you might be able to offer on your own. So yeah, it's absolutely it's priceless to be able to make those kind of relationships.
Yeah. So do you think your superpower is networking?
Connecting, I'd say. Okay. Connecting. Yeah. Which is part of networking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what's your favourite thing about connecting? What do you gain personally from it? And I guess another question, if you want to in a slightly different way, is like when you go over to a stranger, like, do you have to put it on an alter ego? Can you go in? Have you done it so long that you don't have to do that anymore? That you can just go, "Hi, I'm Jane. I'm myself."
Yeah. Oh,
who are you?
Definitely, I'm myself. I definitely have to have the energy for it though. So like if I'm having a day where I feel really flat for whatever reason, doesn't happen very often, but occasionally I might be, you know, it's just I don't have the energy for that, then I don't do it. Because I have tried in the past where I go somewhere and to be inspiring to someone when you speak to them or to be in a way that they want to engage with you, you've got to I don't know what the words are, to be attractive in some form. And that takes energy. So there's definitely times when I don't want to do it if my energy's low. So that's, I guess I would say it like that, but definitely being myself, always being myself. Yeah, that's the person that you're talking to is being themselves, and that's the easiest way to connect, because if you do put on a front, then you're not actually giving the real person to the person you're talking to, which
there's no trust. They'll forget you as soon as you walk out the door.
Then they wear a mask as well. Exactly.
Oh, true. But interesting that you talk about masks as well, because that's something that I've read about. When you meet someone for the first time, you have a mask on, you put a mask on them, and they do the same thing. So there's 4 masks between you. So like, how do you get those masks out between you? That's creating a distance.
I think it's about being honest, having some integrity about what you're doing. Like, this is why that script when you were talking about earlier doesn't agree with me, because I feel like I'm selling something. Like I don't believe that when I go and see people I'm selling anything. I'm in business development, I'm going there to connect with them.
I think you've got to put that part of things out of your mind and just let that happen.
Exactly.
Through karma.
You're meeting someone. Charlie Pidcock, I don't know if you met him, he's a good friend of mine. He's a sales coach, and he says never let, what does he say? Oh gosh, now I've forgotten what it is, but it's along the lines of it's never let a sale get in the way of a good conversation. All you're having is a conversation. That's it. If you think about it like that, there's no agenda. There's no, oh gosh, you know, that's all it is. And then it goes from there.
And it's not about you.
Exactly.
It's about them.
That's right. Exactly.
It's about both of you.
Exactly.
And like, how can you help each other?
Exactly.
I exist in the world, you exist in the world, we're both trying to do something fun.
I think having the intention of being of service is definitely behind everything that I would do. So I would highly recommend that that's the intention, because then it's a lot easier. You're not,
So cold calling and networking are 2 huge things as part of your role. What about digital and any other things that you can think of that work for you?
getting into that a bit more this year. Making time for it was my challenge last year, which is about being organised for me, being super organised. And I've always been a little bit more spontaneous than a planner. So I'm really having to, this is again where I'm having to learn new skills, to look at my calendar and really sort of think ahead about, okay, what does my day look like, my time, where is that going to fit in? Because I'd like to be doing much more on LinkedIn, for example, myself, and more on social media, because again, it's another platform to be visible, to have conversations, to build the trust. And that's really all you're doing, is building the trust. So, and that's very helpful to me. It's helpful to anyone cold calling or to networking, because if you're also doing that, they go hand in hand. Yeah. Someone can look you up and see, oh, you know, there you are, and you're visible.
But then I think that you can get stuck in just digital and forget the humanity of meeting someone and sharing the air and having that human touch. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot, all this AI stuff, automations. What I noticed is that when I have a system that I can deliver the project through the system and have an automated email goes out, here's your thing. Or I can send an email like, hope you like it, like, you know, written by me. And it's very obvious that it's written by me. And so, like, sometimes the automation is good, but I'm like, I feel like I'm not connecting with this person, you know? So, like, that can go one step back further of like always being online versus phone calls versus coffee versus events with people versus showing up at their door and like, you know, who are you? Yeah. What are you doing here?
And I think it's equal measures. It's a bit of all of that, to be honest. I personally haven't used AI yet. You know, I believe it's a great tool. I've received some emails from email campaigns, and I know immediately it's not the person that's got the business, and I just delete. So for me, I still write my own emails, but I'll write a template that maybe I can send out. But I've written it myself. So, but I'm still working on that, because I'm not always, you know, I could be more productive myself there. It can get very labour intensive if you do write an individual email to every single person, which is what I tend to do. So it has its place for sure, but definitely it's about making sure that it does feel very real. I've had a few people tell me that when they've received AI emails that they've tried to keep selling them something, and then that's a disconnect, and you can actually lose people from that. So yeah.
Yeah, right. So door-to-door, networking, digital. Is there anything else? There's a lot of feedback, I guess, or like keep like talking to the clients that you have.
Oh, absolutely.
We talked a lot about the prospects. Yeah. Hey, like,
yeah. Look, you mentioned coffee before, so I do a lot of coffee catch-ups, going to see my clients just to check in, because in that time you find out more information. You know, it might be, and you're getting to know them. Like, the whole purpose is just to get to know them, because we spend so much time at work. You want to like the people that you work with, and I really enjoy that, because I enjoy, again, the connecting part of it and getting to know them, and like, it's authentic, you know.
So is it 1 out of 3 teams? Let's go for a coffee. So how you do it, or are you always keen to start with the coffee and then teams is the last resort? Or
sometimes it depends on how much time everyone's got. Like, if my client can make the time for a coffee, then I'll go to coffee with them. And you know, I think they enjoy getting out of the office for a moment, and because then you can let your head out and you might talk about personal things, because all of that information is equally important, because you're not selling to a company, you're selling to a human being. Yeah. Or you're connecting with a human being.
Companies
so it's really about
run by people.
Yeah, exactly. So it's getting to know the people. So and I find that tea is the best way to do that.
Yeah. And take some time, talk to them.
Yeah.
On a personal level.
Yeah. Well, you might cover, you know, I don't really have an agenda to those kind of meetings. It's more like, you know, who are you? How are you? And then you sort of start to find little tidbits of, or might be an interest they might have, you know, that they'd like indoor soccer or who knows, whatever. And then somewhere in the conversation, it might come up about, you know, what's the marketing plan looking like, or et cetera. So, yeah, and it just creates more of a bond. You know, people appreciate that you really care about who they are, not just what you're doing, you know.
And like, it widens that sense of community, because we talked, we found out our daughters went to the same school.
Exactly,
and like possibly we could have gone to the same parents' party one year and stuff.
And I avoided it that time, but yes.
But like, so there's the, you know, you don't know what you don't know. Like, Sydney's a small little place, really. People have a smaller degree of separation than what they think.
I reckon it's 2 degrees. You know how they say it's 6 degrees? I reckon it's about 2 degrees, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, who are these people that we see out on the street? There's a lot of people to meet, hey?
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
For joining us. As a real food for thought, especially in the terms of, like, your thoughts that you get as you're trying to approach a new person, a stranger, of your self-doubt, because it's not about you.
Exactly.
And gardening, lots of things. Is there any other sort of like final top tips from what we've talked about that you're like, if you don't remember anything from this podcast that I've talked about, remember these 3 things?
Yeah, sure. I think everyone's as nervous as everyone else, you know, and everyone's as stuck in their own world with the things they're doing, so not ever to take any of it personally, you know. And I think if you enjoy it and you look at it as a bit of an adventure as to what can possibly come from it, then yeah, it's fun and connecting. I think COVID taught us that human connection is so important, and you know how much we missed it when we didn't have it. So definitely get out and connect with people.
Be brave. Yeah, beautiful. Thanks so much, Jane.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Thanks for listening.